All right, today we have a rather large box, but it's very light. So let's check out today's guitar. It comes from the side. So it's a sideways box, if you will. Lots of packing material. Let's get rid of this knife for a second. Okay, we have a wedge box from Cort Guitars. This is new for 2021. This is a brand new Cort guitar. I'm excited about this one. It's something I actually talked about when I did the virtual NAMM booth reviews. So the Cort guys saw that and said, hey, let's send out a guitar. What do we get in the box? We get an adjustment tool for the truss rod, an extra spring, and a Allen wrench. So, okay. And of course, the whammy bar or tremolo arm. Depends on how you want to look at that. Okay. Oh, nice and light. Perfect. And man, is this already cool. Okay, what do we have here?
This is the Cort G300 Pro series, and it sells for about $750.
So what do we have? Let's take a look. First, we have a very chocolatey, very roasted maple neck. This looks like rosewood. That's how dark it is. That's one of the darkest roasted necks I've ever seen. I wouldn't believe that was maple, but it is. It's roasted maple, and it is really, really, really dark. We have a basswood body, Goto style bridge, 2 Seymour Duncan pickups with a 5-way switch, stainless steel frets, matching painted headstock. It comes in red or black. We have the contoured heel right here. And I'm sure the reason it's light is because it's basswood. It doesn't have binding, so if it looks like it has binding, it's actually just been taped off. You're looking at the side of the cap.
And that cap is made out of a 1/4 inch of maple.
Made in Indonesia, obviously in the Cort factory where a lot of guitars are made. So this is up there with all the PRSs and the other guitars that are made by their factory. So, very cool. Let's take a look at how fast it tunes up. Okay. All right, here we go. There you go. Okay, so now that we've done that, let's take a look at how the action looks. We are sitting at 2 millimeters off the 12th fret, which is very standard for the industry. 2 millimeters on the high E off the 12th fret. So again, looks like consistency across all the strings. I like, for reference, always off the 3rd fret. That's just my thing. 1 millimeter off the 3rd fret and 0.75 off the high E as well. So again, this is not super high action, but higher than I like it. Like I said, I like mine about 1.5, so this could be lowered. Looking at the bridge, again, I would lower it. Let's take a look. Just double checking. Neck looks good. I don't need to relieve the neck or tighten the neck, so I would probably just lower it from the saddles. Super easy there. So on the nut, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my caliper. Look at that. And I'm going to check what type of fret wire is on here. Okay, and then I'm going to go ahead and get the proper fret wire. And I've disclosed before, what I have is this is fret wire where I've removed the blade, the tang off the bottom, and I epoxied it into what's a tremolo arm. I have a bunch of these and every kind of fret wire in stainless steel. And what I do is I use this just to check. And as you can see, so if you've seen other videos where it's stuck, this falls, and what that tells me is that even though the fret wire is identical to the next fret wire, these nut slots are not deep enough. So if you don't have fret wire, you can always use a gap gauge and check like that. But again, for reference, all you have to do is take your ring finger, put it on the 3rd fret, and visually look from the side. And this actually looks pretty good on the low E. Let's look at the A. The A is almost good too. So again, what we're looking for is almost no gap, either the string barely touching or touching that 1st fret, or again, just enough space we can put a little piece of paper there. Go to the D string. D string, actually pretty good. So the G, a little high, the B is a lot higher, and the E is the highest. And again, that's something I notice quite often. It makes it a little hard to do those barred F chords. Sometimes with this part of the finger right here, you're like pushing really hard to get those 2 last strings down. So this would be a nut that I would like to take my nut files and just slide across each slot, just lower it a little bit. Again, the way it sits, which is important, is I'm going to rate this guitar as ready to play out of the box. In other words, I tuned it up very quickly. The action is very playable. I think the average player, if they were to pull this out of the box, they would be able to play it. I'm not finding any dead notes or dead frets. Everything looks good. So the setup that I would recommend for this would be a salt to taste kind of thing. In other words, if you like it to play a little lower, or like that nut cut just a little better, there you go. That's what I would do. And that's it. Other than that, she's good to go. So now we got to check how the pickup sound, how the tremolo works, whether or not it stays in tune or not. That'll tell us how well the slots were actually cut, because if they bind up, they won't let the guitar stay in tune. So now that we've taken a look at some of the specifications of the guitar, let's look at the electronics, not only how they work, but how they sound.
So the first thing we got to start with is the Seymour Duncan set of pickups they put in this. Now you can buy a set just like this. They're using the JB in the bridge and the Jazz in the neck. Basically the Seymour Duncan hot rodded set that you can buy together. But what they did different is they special ordered the JB as a Trembucker. This is something you can do if you order the pickups separate as well. So what the Trembucker does is it spaces the slugs so that they're wider and line up with the strings on a tremolo. And something to think about when you're ordering Seymour Duncan pickups, if you have a tremolo, you might want the Trembucker spacing.
And something I wanted to show you guys real quick is looking inside the electronics, there was a couple things that pleasantly were a surprise. First was the super switch. They're using a 5-way super switch, which is a really overbuilt switch. They're not using the typical PC board blade switch we'd see in some of the lower price, mid-price guitars. The other thing that was interesting is they're using alpha pots. They're definitely the most used small affordable potentiometers. Not my favorite, but something I would expect to see in not only this guitar, but a lot of guitars. Nothing super exciting underneath the hood, although that switch was really a pleasant thing to see. So what I want to show you is how they wired it though. So you have a volume and tone control, and then in the first position you have just a full humbucker. So something we're very familiar with, right? Now in the second position, it gets a little different. Now what happens, it's going to select the 2 outer coils. This will simulate your Telecaster in the middle position where your 2 single coils are far apart. And you get that. Now in the middle position, you get the 2 full humbuckers again. And then back to position 2. And then in the fourth position, you get the 2 inner coils. I want to kind of take a second and digest that. So here's the 2 outer coils. The 2 outer inner coils. The 2 humbuckers. I don't know why I stumbled on that, but. And then of course in the 5th position you get just the basic neck humbucker. So on the nut is definitely not a hindrance. It's not keeping the guitar, those 2 slots aren't causing any issues with the guitar. However, keeping it in tune, I did have to put some Addario Lubrikit, which is a lubricant that I use. I like it. It works great. Of course, you can use a pencil or any kind of lubricant that you prefer for that, but that's just what I've been using for years. I put some in there and it definitely did the job. So you will have to do something, at least in this case, I had to do something. They were just not smooth enough by themselves, and that's not typically uncommon, but something had to be addressed. And we'll get into the not only the sounds, but just how well it stays in tune. But I want to talk about the neck feel, because that's something that's really, really important. So the neck on this feels very similar to the Suhr guitars, where the AZs are a lot chunkier, a little bit of a U shape in the back. The Charvels are flatter, so if you like the Charvels like I do, they have the roasted necks. They're a little thinner, a little wider feeling. This definitely feels a little narrower and a lot smaller on the back. This is the smallest neck I've played, smaller than even the Harley Bentons, any of that stuff. So very comfortable neck feel. So I want to go back to these 2 inner coils sound. I like it. It's got a little bit of that narrow mid to it. Definitely gives you the most single coil of all the 5 settings. This is going to give you the most single coil sound, but of course no 60 cycle hum. The 2 outer coils. want to show you the tone control in the off, halfway engaged, and fully engaged. So here it is off, halfway, all the way. And it's not a subtle control. So again, something that I think is an opportunity for you to maybe change out capacitors. It's not the one I would pick for this guitar, but it is the one that you see in most guitars that are produced. Okay, here we go. Couple things to mention is it does have illuminate dots on the side. I'm really kind of sad that it doesn't have a gig bag. That's something if Cort ever sees the video, I wish you'd consider that, because I really think it would really finish out this guitar as feeling like you really got a complete package deal on the guitar. Fit and finish, I think, was fantastic. Like I said, my only critiques were the nut slots, the two that I thought could have been cut deeper. If it would have hindered the guitar staying in tune, or if it would have hindered the performance of the way the guitar plays, I would have definitely hit it a little harder than that. As always, guys, I want to thank you guys not only for hanging out with me today, but for hanging out towards the end. If you made it this far, I really appreciate that. Always thank you so much. And till the next time, know your gear.